time for the only ad read that matters. Larry, keep the lights on in this bitch.
Mahalo, Jimmy. We are entering week 3 of our 360-degree Tomahawk Slam Dunk partnership with Seasons, a members-only rental service for designer menswear. You love it. I love it. You use it. I use it. I saw your fucking fit pick, your first fit pick in months.
Yeah.
And it was a smacker.
Orange, you glad I'm contractually obligated to post more fit pics?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why they pay us the big bucks. What? You got the Orly, the duster.
The big old the Matrix joint. Keanu Reeves commented, he's like, yo, I'm fucking jelly. I need to make Matrix 4. I need to reshoot Matrix 4 with the Wachowski transgender humans. I think they're
both women.
They're the sisters now, the Wachowski sisters.
Shout out Elliot Page.
And yeah.
I love that quote. I wanted that. Not that you cart jacked me.
I sniped it.
You got... I don't want to, I mean, I guess this will be out next. So my fit pick will be out. I went with Nanushka Slappers.
Which, like, bro, that's
the gift that keeps on giving, like Nanushka.
The vegan leather.
I love it.
You
don't even know how soft it is. You don't even know because you didn't even wear it.
I was like, damn, I fucking filled my Seasons bag up too early because I want the Nanushkis.
Well, I will say that I also dipped into the Orally pool. I have the puffer on deck for the next fit pick. Also, listen, no one could ever say shit to us ever again because we got our goddamn motherfucking fit pick sponsored. We're the GOATs, and that is fucking end of discussion. Seasons.com/throwingfits, SZNS.co, not com. SZNS.co/throwingfits. You will get 20% off your first month's bag order subscription. You get a discount.
Yes.
Use our fucking referral link. It doesn't even matter. This is the new way to try Johns, wear Johns.
It's a semi-cop. It's a semi-cop.
It's dating Johns, not marrying Johns. Yes. We went over this. I was quite embarrassed.
You're very jealous. Like, wait,
it is so close to home.
This is what dating's like? Yes, Larry. You get to try every single John in the jungle.
Also, if you're listening to this, like, give us engagement on said fit pics on James's Orally Raglan sleeve duster. Like and comment.
Oh, they did.
Hit my doo-doo brown fit. Got me feeling like the shit. That beautiful, supple vegan leather. No animals were harmed in the making of this fit pick. Give the boys the love that we don't just crave, but we need so that we're not homeless.
I mean,
out in the street, in the fucking gutter without a roof over our heads. But in all seriousness, we love Seasons. 20% off your first month subscriptions. SZNS.co/throwingfits.
You literally lose money if you don't fucking sign up for this because you can just rent. You just borrow Johns from the homies, Reggie, the homies, Jesse, the homie R. Kelly.
Hell yeah.
The vocal fry Pharaoh.
It's a family affair. Get in on the ground floor of the future sustainable green way to be a Johns enthusiast and be able to sleep at night. Seasons. A better way to rent, bitch.
This is Jonah Hill, and you're listening to the only podcast that matters.
Throw Gang, we are joined by the Aloha Admiral, the Hapa head honcho, the chief of Chee-Hoo, shaman of the Shaka, the 808 Emirate, the Karate King, the Prada Dada, Sultan of Street Style, the Evan Mock Maestro. Can I get an Ohana? The Honolulu Lord, the Bento Baron Stylist, Taylor Okata.
What's up?
Taylor, how was my first ever Chee-Hoo?
That was really strong. I felt it in the gut. That's where it's supposed to come from.
James practiced on me earlier, and I was dying laughing because it just comes to him so naturally.
My face is purple. This is the first really intro that kind of has the blood flowing through my dome piece.
That's how you know it's fucking good, baby. Welcome, Taylor. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Happy to have you. I was thinking, like, I don't know how familiar you are with the show because you're one of the more like kind, beautiful souls that we're friends with, and I wouldn't expect you to be, intimately familiar with this absolute chaos that is about to go down. But the first thing that we're going to do, and I'm excited for this because this is what you do for a living. So this will be the test for the audience at home as far as how good Taylor is at his job. We want you to do a fit check where you're going to walk us through the totality of everything that you are wearing right now. We're going to paint an audio picture for the 18 million listeners. The choice for you is, do you want to start top down or bottom up?
I dress bottom up, so let's go.
Perfect. Right. That's the right answer.
Not a cop,
that.
Not a police officer.
So what's on the feets?
So feet, I've been in Los Angeles shooting for the past month, so I'm in a comfortable Hathenbrook clog.
Oh, the Chilbies, dog.
It's an easy in and out of the house in the car. I'm also in the continental United States where people wear their shoes in the house, or else I'd be completely barefoot. We have a hidden sock.
Oh, a friend of the podcast.
Big hidden out now. That's our guy. I would say his name, but he doesn't want anyone to know what his actual name is.
Yeah, one of my best friends is his manager, so I love to support.
His name is Daniel
Arsham, obviously. Pants I'm wearing just nylon Our Legacy pants. They're just nice. I fly in them. I'm at home and they're just so comfortable.
Our Legace is hands down my favorite brand of all time. How robust is your Legace collection?
It's the one brand. I mean, I wouldn't say one, but it's one of the few brands that I buy every season.
Really?
Yeah, just naturally. It fits well. It's easy. It's just good everyday wear,
How far back does that like policy of you copying pieces every season go back?
I'd say at least 4 years, 5 years, maybe.
I think they're an interesting brand in that like the look has changed. It's always been like a quality cop, right? Like never an issue about like, are you getting your money's worth? But I think they've in an interesting way, like they've evolved not based on the trends of what's happening men's wear, but almost in like their own organic way. And it's always funny to find out when a certain person fell in love with the brand.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I think I was introduced to it back then, but I really would buy like a lot more, I'd say, within the past 3 years.
This might be me being I'm either manifesting this or I'm being completely delusional.
Probably delusional.
Would you cop Our Legacy Throwing Fits collaboration?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Sight unseen. You don't even care what it is. Like it could be assless chaps, though. I don't know. I feel like you've worn chaps before, I'm sure.
I just wore those Comme des Garçons leather chaps. Like I think
there you go.
At Fashion Week last Feb.
Joachim said he's back into the pod. He's like took a break and now he's back into it. So Joachim, if you hear me,
the Joker. Fantastic. And then
so that's what's on the ass.
What's what underwear too? Should we go right to pants?
Oh, when it comes to underwear, I'm a creature of habit. So it's just Calvin Klein trunks. Like they're not the boxer briefs because boxer briefs are really long. They're almost like a biker short when it comes to the Calvins. So it's technically a trunk, which is in between a long boxer brief and a tighty whitey.
Does your panty policy change when you're in Hawaii when like shirtlessness and shoelessness is more of like an accepted thing?
No, I've always worn the same.
You're strapped up.
Yeah, definitely.
Prisoner of habit. I didn't even know that this was an option. There's a huge debate on this show. James wears boxers. I wear boxer briefs, but I wouldn't be mad at. And I wear, obviously, Taylor, may wear Supreme Hanes, obviously. But if I could they're a little, that's a Hanes, that's like a standard Hanes boxer brief. That's a little long. I wouldn't mind truncating, my boxer briefs to a pair of trunks. But this is why you're on here, because we need this kind of
it's like a minor detail, but when you're in the Calvin Klein underwear section, it specifically says boxer brief and it specifically says trunk. And you'll see that it's like maybe a 2-inch at most difference.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a tall guy, so.
Yeah, that's James. That's a lot. Okay, let's not shake a stick at 2 inches there. And then moving on up, what do we have? A sweatshirt? What is that? Long sleeve?
Oh, this is a long sleeve V-neck. I'd say velour Noon Goon sweater.
Shout out the Gooners.
Yeah, Kurt's awesome. And then a t-shirt underneath. I think I
Do you like Noon Goons because it vibes with like, you know, that's a West Coast surf inspired brand?
Yeah.
FKA Warriors of Redness.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I can't just wear something just because it's cool. Like if I personally like to each its own, but for me, if I don't really connect with the brand, I won't go out and buy it. So
I think that's called having integrity.
Right.
Something that we would know nothing about on this podcast. But yeah, we love Noon Goons. Not that James and I could fucking surf. Or maybe James, can you surf? Are you surfing?
I like body surfing. I can surf, but I'm no Evan Mock.
Right.
But we might look alike, you know?
Sure. Yeah, right. Okay.
I mean, Kurt, the owner, actually surfs as well, which is awesome.
Yeah.
He didn't just start a brand because of surfing and trend.
So Lawrence and I, we're fans of Noon Goons also because Kurt and I think like some other people that work on the brand were the OG Warriors of Radness, one of GQ's best new menswear designers in America, and just a bunch of crazy lunatics. Yeah. I still follow some of the fringe members on IG, and they're just like fucking, you know, drug running through like Costa Rica and shit. It's fire. But yeah, I think Kurt like took the helm along with like Rick Klotz for Noon Goons. And they're clearly like doing very, very well.
Yeah, I like the stuff a lot, and I just used it for a shoot, so I got to like, just
you were in a very sexy like see-through like black shirt, right? Cropped up.
That's right. Yeah, they did a lace shirt, and I got to live my Dennis Rodman tie shirt moment. You know,
you were as bad as you wanted to be.
You know, got to do it.
And then
is there something? What's under that?
What is that? It looks like
this is
like patterned.
This is the Stussy 40th anniversary soloist one.
Oh, right, the soloist. That's what we can see is the neck detail. So this
you got a good eye.
This is a combo. So this is like you're like, okay, well, if I'm gonna wear like the V-neck, I need like the soloist on the neck.
I guess it's a subtle flex, right? I didn't think about it like that, but I think aesthetically, my eye probably went there.
Was that the one tee that really you were like, I need that? That's the one I need, or did you get the whole fucking grip?
Just because I'm biased to him as a designer out of who they collaborated with. I love
that. Was a pretty banger selection though. I mean, like obviously everyone was going fucking crazy for the Rick joint, which was fucking
of course.
And the thirst trap that Rick put on IG. That was they fucking killed that. But the soloist one, it's funny because like, and I think that is what I would say to the audience at home. Like, this is your taste level, how it is just like a notch above. Like, where it's at 10, we turn it to 11 because, you know, everyone is going to gravitate to maybe the CDG shit or the Rick stuff, like the very obvious stuff. But it's like, yo, you know, Takahiro Miyashita. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Thank you.
And finally,
jewelry. I'm always
any jewelry. Yes.
Always. I can't not have jewelry on. So for necklaces, these one is passed down from my sister. I mix metals, so I'm a gold and white gold type of guy. I also have what I like to call the Queen's disease, where I can't wear fake jewelry. I break out in eczema, like Alti. So
that's a good title, the Queen's disease. That's what we're going to call this episode.
And then this one was custom from Jane, who I go and get stuff made from for shoots. Jane on Newtop on Center Street. And then I have a family friend back home in Hawaii. We have Hawaiian jewelry. It's actual like cultural jewelry. So that's my pendants and then my ring as well. So usually when you get Hawaiian jewelry, it's like your 18th birthday or you graduate high school or you graduate college. It's usually like a significant event that you start to accumulate these pieces.
So by the time you're like an old man filled with regrets, you're just going to be fucking dripping.
Yeah.
Yes. Like you'll see all the aunties on the island, like they got stacks of Hawaiian gold bracelets. And the more they got, you know, the more lit they are.
Are you going to get one from coming on the only podcast that matters?
Yeah.
And surviving?
Yeah.
You're going to commemorate this with a piece of jewelry?
It's in my calendar. So yes, I'm going to have to celebrate every anniversary, actually.
Fantastic.
Any other jewels that we're working with?
Yeah.
I think that's it. And I've been really into like gems, I guess you could say. Like I have my birthstone on here, Peridot. Shout out Leo's August. So I have that. Other than that, I got my nails painted.
Ooh. What color is that?
Yeah. Pretty much it. It's a Gucci green, I guess you could say.
Gucci green.
A pale sage green, if you will. A little gray undertone.
Are you have all 10 digits or just a select few?
I did my friend did an alternate because I just did the ones that I wear rings on. I thought would look nice, and then we just finished it with the clear polish, protect the cuticles. You know,
this is taking it to 11. And what are you sipping on there in your NPR mug?
Coffee. just coffee because it's only 2 here in LA. So my afternoon coffee.
We appreciate you bringing the high energy to the only podcast that matters, Taylor. That's a complete fit check, I think, guys. We got
All right, Taylor. I don't know if you're aware, but we're about to get into the meat and potatoes, of this podcast. I think you know the 3 main subjects of this podcast, the only podcast that matters, are money,
ka-ching,
meats and cheeks,
also known as sucking and fucking.
Most importantly, ourselves. We're going to start with ourselves. So we have a photo shoot coming up for our loafers that we're doing in collaboration with Blackstock and Weber. Shout out Chris.
Sick.
And
what do you think?
You can see here. First off, what do you think?
I love those. I'd wear those for sure.
Okay.
How would you style us to make us hot and cool? Because we were talking to a legendary photographer, and he's like, "So, like, what's the vibe? Like, what do you want?" I was like, "Just make us look hot and cool. Like, that's all we want. That's literally all we want." So, to make us hot and cool, how would you style us? Also, knowing that the goal is to ultimately sell a bunch of these.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hero item. So you got to make sure to show the product. I personally wear loafers with wide leg baggy pants, but we can't because you got to show that.
Right.
So you better give me a clean sock. I'm into a clean white sock with that loafer.
On our Mike Jack vibes a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. A nice, maybe do one where you show a nice denim, keep it classic. And then maybe the other one you show like a darker, maybe a nice black trouser, prep it up a bit for me, give a suit. Give a tailored moment.
When it comes to a loafer like this, Taylor, that is green, and then there's obviously like that mustard and brown. How is too matchy a bad thing, or do we want to lean into the skid, so to speak?
I mean, those colors, from just what I can see on the screen, it seems very neutral to me. So I feel like it could go with anything.
Man. Listen, man, and we did not pay him to say this, ladies and gentlemen. This is his true first impression.
They did it, I promise.
Well, the jury's still out on whether or not we'll get the photos delivered in time because once again, it's the goddamn motherfucking boys. We left this shit to the absolute last minute. It's down to the wire once again. But the
only way to
when are they supposed to drop? When are they supposed to drop?
December 15th, open for pre-order. But we're going to start teasing them on the 10th and 11th, I think, are the dates.
All of our best friends behind the paywall have already been intimate with these. But as far as like the general population, the civilians, the pedestrians, they've just been hearing about it with a variety of guests. But I think that your endorsement, I mean, that's the hammer of justice right there. This man is a professional fucking
Let's get a pair for your boy Emok.
Oh,
let's do it.
All right. So let's get into some mock talk real quick. Obviously, speaking of hot and cool, some of your most recent work has been making Evan Mock look hot and cool because I know that he was struggling with that on his own. It's been like almost 2 full years now. What has been his favorite look that you've done?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's gonna be tough to pinpoint. I know that's been like thousands.
We've been just banging out looks.
And he's been everywhere too. I mean, he's such an it boy. Yeah, pre-COVID, and he so many shows, so many appearances. But if you just had like and they're all, I'm sure all these looks are like children for you, right? So
but you got to pick meaning that you must have a favorite.
Meaning you have,
have a favorite. I think the one thing with Evan is that obviously he's so easy to dress in that sense. Like he already has so much charisma and effortless cool within just his being. But I'd have to say probably the Dior albino croc jumpsuit we did for our Dior segment that we shot and filmed with them was one of my tops. And then a Louis Vuitton, we did like a vest with a bomber, wide leg kind of raver jean look as well. I'd say we're probably collectively our 2 favorite looks that we did.
Was that the same season, of shows?
Yes.
Okay, so you just had a murderer's row. What is that like? That was what would that have been like? Fall winter 19.
It would have been spring summer 20.
Spring summer 20. Okay, mm-hmm. So that was the last hurrah before COVID.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you went out with the fucking
January. Yeah, January and February. Yeah, and
bangers
those
only.
Yeah, those were awesome.
Did he swagger jack the? Sorry, go ahead.
The croc was a flex because albino croc, it's so rare, and PETA will come for me for this, but I know that Kim Jones, I know that he does, is a process, they were explaining it to me, how they do, when they utilize exotics, that there is some kind of ethical system that they have because they're such a big company. So I know that it's like, in a sense, reclaimed. It's not where they're not euthanizing
like one of 20 albino crocs that are in the wild.
But that was such a flex because A, nobody had worn it off the runway yet, and B, I think with the matching bag and the boots and the bomber we paired with it, I mean, he was walking around like €500,000.
Woo.
Just in clothing. Yeah.
You don't get dressed for less than €500,000, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that the most expensive fit?
Vibes.
Is that the most expensive fit you've ever put together?
Probably not because of diamonds that I've used in the past, but clothing wise, for sure the most expensive like garment I've ever had to handle.
Speaking of which, like when it comes to the jewelry and like you were getting loaned like some incredibly expensive watch or diamonds, like what kind of stress is that like as the stylist knowing that you're responsible for the queen's jewels?
It is so stressed. Shout out to Lorraine Schwartz and her team, my boy Justin, who I work with and is a dear friend of mine. They've been so good to us and with Evan especially and trusting us. And, you know, for certain things, I've worked with other artists where they do send an armed security to follow us, which is great for me because like that's really where all the pressure is taken off.
Right.
But thankfully,
you prefer that. It doesn't harsh the vibe at all.
No, because I feel like it's protected. It's out of my hands at that point. Like there's a higher, like the brand hires someone to watch over and I can just kind of relax after that.
Jesus, take the wheel.
But thankfully I haven't had to work with somebody that's like, you know, just constantly stalked like a Travis Scott or something where they're a lot more high profile. So I haven't been in too stressful of a situation.
You weren't lucky enough to style the chicken nugget body pillow? When Evan or any other client is in like a fucking white croc jumpsuit, are you like, no red wine?
Oh yeah. Like I'll be like, yo, we got to get back to the hotel and do an outfit change before you go out tonight.
Is he a messy eater? Sure. Is Evan a messy eater?
No Travis Scott burgers.
Yeah.
I think because like realistically too, our schedules are so back to back that we're really just in a van drinking Pellegrino, and you know what I mean, like
which is used to remove stains, if anything. You know
exactly.
Well, like Fiji.
When you spill on yourself, your fit actually gets cleaner. That's another trick that only stylists would know.
Did he swagger Jackie with the Oakley racers? Because I know that's been your thing for a minute.
I mean, I wouldn't say he jacked it from me, but I definitely made him wear blades for sure. Okay. You know, with a lot of the looks that we did in Paris for sure. I try to incorporate a little of myself, my little stamp on things for sure.
Are there other little signatures that you like sprinkled like a fairy godmother on his in as far as like, little personal flourishes and touches?
I think for me as a stylist, I like to also make sure that it works for that like celeb or that artist, right? So for Evan specifically, once I saw that he could wear baggy wide leg pants, like because I personally wear them and I love them, like little things like that, I'll pair a more fitted something up top and then just wide ass like denim jeans, and I'll incorporate like I love metals, so like Martine Alley type of just throwing it on there, chucking it on there, little things like that.
Your favorite silhouette is a pyramid. You want a motherfucker out here looking like a triangle.
Like
that's
a Dorito chip.
Yeah. Built like a burrito.
I mean, those are the kind of guys I date. So I mean,
okay, there you go. All right.
There you go.
You and I were texting about this a little bit earlier, and this is kind of an interesting question for me to ask because it's really coming from Lawrence's perspective. Like when you're, around this guy who's so hot and so cool, how kind of like ugly do you feel just like trailing him around all the time? Like, does that hurt your self-confidence?
I feel ugly all the time.
Oh, Taylor, get the fuck out of here.
Are you trying to also imply that that's how I feel, James? Is that what that's what that setup was?
I'm the face, you're the voice. We did this already.
Yeah, the beautiful voice of the show.
I mean, I'm a confident enough guy to know my place in things where I know I look good. And I mean, my style has always been something have a lot of pride for, but walking next to Evan, I mean, he's such a beautiful man. I already know that all eyes are on him and not on me. That's for sure.
When you guys like, when you want to like, if you're around someone where you kind of want to like speak in code, you slip into like Hawaiian pigeon talk?
Oh, pigeon for sure. I mean, I think that's when we can kind of like, when a situation's getting kind of serious, or stressful, we'll just like, we'll speak pigeon to each other. Like we'll throw our chihus, or, we'll be like, it's hard for me to like speak pigeon just off the cuff. Cause it's just such a personal thing, but we definitely, that's like how we make fun of a situation for sure.
And then, I mean, one of the things that he's like doing right now, and we'll get off Evan for a second, go back to Taylor. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But one of the things that he's doing right now, big moves, is Gossip Girl. What do you think of the Gossip Girl look so far?
Yeah, the leaks.
I think it's amazing. We actually, it came to the table a bit ago, and, we obviously had a long conversation about it. And I thought it was a great move for him. Also because of HBO being involved, like what are we not watching on HBO right now? That's not
TV.
fantastic.
It's not TV. It's HBO,
So, I think it makes sense. He's young. He is, I think, culturally it makes sense, yeah. And I think I already saw a lot of BTS pics and it looks amazing.
Are
you involved at all in wardrobe, or is that completely its own entity?
Thank goodness. It's its own entity. I'm 90% sure that the woman who did the original is who's doing it, or the guy. Sorry. Yeah.
What did you think of the original and those like Chuck Bass looks, which are so?
To be honest, I've never seen an episode.
Really?
I know that's sacrilege. Yeah, I've never seen an episode, but I am gonna start watching it because I know it's on Netflix.
Classic.
Yeah,
I couldn't recommend it more highly. It is an absolutely absurd show.
I've never seen it either, actually.
Oh, damn. We should do a rewatch on Patreon or something.
For real.
I wonder if I'm the only homo as well that hasn't watched that show. But
possibly.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
But you're a fan of the looks that you've seen so far, both Evan and just like the whole cast?
I've really only seen like him in his uniform, which I think is a vibe. I mean, Prep is so back, and with his pink hair and his nails plus the uniform, I think is such a vibe.
How can me and Larry get our hands on maybe some Flow Team? Those hoodies.
Could we get some merch?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they thought that it would be a vibe. Like the genuine wardrobe people, I didn't think they thought it would be such a vibe. But people are really asking about those hoodies.
Yeah, just flip them on Grailed for half a million euros.
Yeah, for real.
All right. Well, okay. So Evan is obviously Evan is obviously like your homie, your fucking day one, or you're his day one. But you've worked with a whole plethora of people from NERD to brands. Have you ever had a client or model or celebrity who like you just did not vibe with, and maybe they just were not feeling the looks you brought to the table? And then how did you that's a tough situation, but how did you deal with that?
Yeah, how do you work past that?
Yeah, genuinely, it's only happened once, and out of respect for the record label, I won't say the artist's name, but we had a call, and the reason why I was surprised is that usually I have a call if we don't get to meet in person first, because specifically with artists or celebs, you do need to get a sense of who they are, because if they're not comfortable in something, they're going to give you a lot of pushback, especially if they're a straight man that wants to make sure their masculinity is being portrayed how they view masculinity.
Heterofragility.
So I was a bit shocked when we had already gone through mood boards and listed brands, and I brought those things to the fitting. To the day of the shoot, because we had both music video and album cover shoots, that they didn't like it. And I did my very best. We got through the first day of shooting, and then we both had decided that it wasn't working. I had called my agent, and, to be frank, I'm not good at swallowing my pride when I feel disrespected. I'm very easygoing, as Hawaiians are super chill. I'm super friendly. You guys all know who my friends are. And so in that situation, I didn't want to continue on with the project, so I walked away. So we only finished the one shoot. But it's so funny because later on I had seen that they were using those images. And so I'm like, so you really didn't necessarily not like my styling. It was maybe more so, to be honest, maybe a bit maybe a little also homophobic.
Sure.
And,
oh, really?
And maybe also a little bit scared to take the risk to actually put those things on. From looking at, it's one thing to look at a reference board and to see the clothes. It's another thing to actually want to try things on and feel have the confidence to rock it, So, I did my best. I smiled through it. I had a good attitude about it. And then we were, I was just professional enough to be like, I don't want to continue on.
Loaded question, but do you think that maybe if you were a woman giving the same kind of recommendations and styling advice, it wouldn't be an issue?
1,000%.
Okay.
And then I guess
I work with a lot of hip hop artists and rappers, and that's one thing that has been a pretty consistent theme. I notice it because all my team are girls, all my assistants are girls, and that's not necessarily a conscious choice, but they are. And it's a very clear thing, especially when I go and see that they've been working with specifically a female stylist from here on out too. So
if you weren't if you didn't have the amazing personality that we know you have, and were just able to kind of be chill and even if you do have difficulty swallowing your pride, because you are very successful and in demand, you do have you're in a great position where you can be you know what, not for me. I don't want the paycheck. I'm good. not
I
going
don't
to deal with
need
this.
blood money.
What about like for someone that's maybe just coming up or trying to make a name for themselves, if they are put in a position where, yeah, whether it's like homophobia or sexism or veiled, right? We assume. And then like how would you recommend people more inexperienced and on the come up deal with that?
You know, I grew up from such humble beginnings. Like I grew up poor and without money. And like, I understand that not having that privilege to say, I'm not going to do this for, and to walk away, because we all need to eat. We all need to pay our bills. And I never let somebody get in between my meal, and my pay. But
Get that bag.
at the end of, at the end of the day, I think also just the way I was raised and culturally, like the reason why I also went freelance is to work with people that respected me and that, and that appreciated me. So like, to somebody who's just starting out, I think you are going to have bad shoots and bad days, but when it does reach the point of actually attacking you as a human being, whether it's your sexuality or your ethnic background or your religion, like anything that just is humanistic, I can't really turn away and tell you to just smile through it. I think that's up to the person. And I think if they can push through it, great. And then but also if they can't, great as well. I think every situation's so different, but I say also don't get discouraged by it. Don't let that one incident just allow you to not want to continue forward.
And you've been doing this for a minute. Like, have you seen kind of the general philosophy or just like attitudes evolve over the last like 10 years? Or are we still kind of, everyone's like, oh, 2020 super too. Yeah. Like everyone's woke now, or is that not necessarily the case?
I think behind closed doors, it's still kind of the same. Unfortunately, I think fashion has such an antiquated system as anywhere in entertainment. Really, on the surface, you see a lot more guys taking risks fashion wise, being a lot more open with sexuality, especially with the younger generation. Especially with someone like Lil Nas X, for instance. Like it's great, but I think the actual like systems that are in place still haven't really progressed as much as it should.
Do you think we'll see any progression with pandemic or like post-pandemic?
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially with the transparency of social media, it's a lot harder to really hide behind things. And I think the younger generation or people reach their limit and they're not as afraid to keep quiet anymore.
Good for them.
Fingers crossed.
Going back to like, whether a client, let's talk about like good clients, right? Like, so obviously you have the shitty clients, people that are just like, maybe they're hungry, maybe they're homophobes, who knows? Well, we all know.
That's quite a spectrum right there. Maybe they're hangry. Maybe they hate gay people. Don't judge the clients, Taylor.
Hear them out. No, I'm just kidding. Fuck them. Fuck them all. No, okay. Do you prefer like
to every shoot now? Are they hangry or homophobic?
Yeah. Do you want a snack? Do you want a snack, or do you want to be Dr. Ibram? How to be anti-racist textbook? What do you want?
Yeah.
But no, all right. So let's say a client is like down and like is fucking with fashion and fucking with the vibes. Like, do you prefer someone who's they're more like willingly just kind of a blank canvas with like, yo, you're the expert, like freak it? Or do you prefer someone that's maybe more collaborative with you on the fits and they're like, hey, like this is a joint project. Like, I have my insights, you have your insights. Let's come to a middle ground or a solution together.
But maybe they have a lot of opinions.
Yeah. I think I would have a lot more long-term, like say celeb or artists that I've been working with if they just were, I just want to work with nice people. As cheesy as that sounds, I just want to work with people that are willing to even just try. A blank canvas is great, but I also love when you kind of have a good sense of yourself, because it takes a lot of confidence and to be comfortable with yourself to rock anything aesthetically, whether it's hair, clothes, whatever it is. Like, I feel that people that are more comfortable with themselves are the easiest ones to work with. So as long as that is my starting
point. That's the foundation. That's what you need regardless. That's all you want. Other than that, it's like whether you want to be involved or not, it's like,
Yeah. Like I just did a GQ style cover with this musician IDK. And he was so collaborative and I loved that. Like, me as a stylist, I don't take any offense if you're like, no, I wouldn't really wear that, or no, but I like this. And then we kind of meet there together. I also love that because it makes my job a lot easier. And then I'm happy and fulfilled because I know that you're fucking with it,
Did you make the like scarf that was wrapped on the cover? Was that, it said like scarf by Taylor?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was his vision really to want to use kente cloths and African prints. But yeah, I have a woman here that I've used that's all her specialty is specifically African cloths. And I just went and picked up the fabric and, had it made. And then, and obviously pinned and cheated a bit on set to make it look good for photos. And then we also, for the doll, for the vision of him holding that, then me and my assistant made that matching doll thing.
Are we ever going to see a Taylor Okata clothing line?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good question. I get that all the time. I respect.
So it's not that good of a question. Then.
And can we get some? And can we get some for free?
Yeah,
that's the good question.
But you have ambition to do that?
Yeah, I respect designers so much because I genuinely don't know how they just pump out such quality collection season after season.
But how do you do it, Philip Klein? How do you do it?
Cocaine.
The answer is cocaine. Yeah.
The brilliance behind that line, I can't. But now it's, the pandemic has changed so much for me just from a perspective standpoint. I'm sure we've all seen what Patagonia's even been posting about how we're all screwed. And so for me, if I was to start a line, it really would have to be sustainable and it would have to make sense. But obviously as an artist and creative, I would love to, whether it's even me joining in-house with a certain designer or team, if I could just have the freedom to really, it's been how many years that I've been looking at clothes all day, every day. So I would love to take a stab at it.
All right. Stay tuned, I guess. But while you're still doing your thing, I think what's something that's super interesting, right? With the proliferation of social media and just how everything's visually driven now, is that these days it's almost like it used to be like the one quote that would go viral in a celebrity profile, but these days it's almost as, if not more, interesting or has viral potential the way that a guy or subject or client is styled in editorial in terms of making headlines. I mean, just look at Harry Styles in Vogue.
Yeah,
right. That shit was a fucking national, global conversation for the whole week. Mm-hmm. Do you feel more pressure, whether it's from the client, not necessarily the subject, but the client, whether it's editorial or brand, to create these newsworthy viral looks?
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily viral looks, but there's definitely a heightened sense of pressure from social media because everyone's so aware now. Even with brands, I don't have as much freedom as I did even 5 years ago with styling, whether it's a specific brand requiring a head to toe full look where I can't mix in other brands,
right?
Or them saying that it has to be styled the way that it was styled on the runway, or to an artist's team telling me that this is this is the narrative we're pushing right now, so you have to stick within this.
And how much of that is novelty bullshit that they know is going to get fucking clicks and eyeballs that you're this is stupid? Is that a lot of it? Or?
Yeah, it's a numbers game. I think they just want to see the impressions and the engagement, and I think they also follow a formula with that.
How much of it is them being hey, this advertiser needs a full look on the cover or whatever?
A lot.
That's getting worse. Now. You're saying it's worse now. So at what point, and this is talking about a loaded question. Now, at what point do we not need a stylist if it's going to be these canned looks, on behalf of advertisers? Is that something you worry about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I've been genuinely thinking about over at least the past, I'd say, year and a half. And thankfully, I consult a lot and I do, a lot of other things that I don't post about or share.
Those NDAs be hitting,
and styling, but styling is something that I got into because I genuinely loved creating an image and having that and seeing that image really have an effect on someone's personal self as well as an entire culture. But now, I just did a few, editorial shoots and it was all so limiting. They gave me a set list of 10 brands and I could only use those 10 brands.
Damn.
And the cover I did before that, they had already partnered. They had already partnered with the designer, so they're you have to use this collection.
Is the designer paying is the designer being hey, I mean, is it kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or is it literally yo, I'll give you $300,000 if you
payola,
put all my brand head to toe on the cover?
I even kind of wondered that myself. I think it's probably both. Because I've never worked in-house for a magazine, but it seems like there has to be some type of transaction going on.
I've heard whispers that that was the old way of doing it. Now that shit is back. Have you ever turned down a job or opportunity where it's oh, this person is an ambassador of brand X, so you already know that it's going to be brand X head to toe, on a cover on like a, I don't know, any sort of shoot?
I think I've only turned down a gig when it like conflicted with my morals. If I knew that they were problematic, or if I didn't agree
Breitbart
with
fashion issue.
Yeah.
Exactly, or if I didn't agree with the views of the
Richard
of the
Spencer for
individual or
GQ.
brand.
You're like,
You
I
know?
can't do this.
Stormfront September issue.
Yeah, right. Is that how recently was that? Is that something that like because of the current climate where like a lot of this stuff is coming to light? Is that something that happened like recently, or is this like years ago and was like?
I've always been this way. I think. Again, it just comes back to like coming from nothing and just.
And I don't mean you, because I know you've always had integrity, but it's like this information that is making you turn down the job. Is that something that had come to light recently in recent years, or something you had heard whispers of a long time ago that like was trying to be swept under the rug? I'm not trying to make you be specific.
I'd say more recent, just from my experience. Yeah, for sure.
All right, Taylor, this is the one question that I knew I had to ask you. As a stylist coming on the pod, and I know that you've worked with them before, so I know that you have the insights. And as civilians, as just like regular Joes, this is a question that has baffled me since the fucking Big Bang. What the fuck is going on with Essence's styling?
I think it was on your one of your recent episodes. I heard you guys talking about that, and I was in line in drive-thru. I remember specifically, I was waiting in drive-thru for so long at In-N-Out, and I was just cracking up because I genuinely do shop Essence, but I shop it on the app. And I was like, I think because I, as a stylist too, and just as a clothes nerd, I know what I'm looking for, and I just order it. So when you guys were talking about it, I had to go back and check. Because I was is it really that bad? Like, because I've only worked on the editorials. I've never worked
not on
like
figure.
That.
Yeah, for.
And you guys are talking about on figure, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
I don't know what's going on up in Montreal. You know,
I think it's at this point. I think it's a calling card. And James and I have clowned it a bunch. And shout out Essence. I mean, like, we're not going to cast stones. I mean, we all shop the sale. Essence is great,
1000%.
But is it supposed to be? It's like a signature. How bad it is, like as a thing, right?
It's so bad it's good. Like you see an Essence model and you're just like, oh, that this is Essence. Like and then it's always like good brands or if you're shopping,
but it's like brands. You're like, oh my God, this looks like shit. I need to cop it right now.
I want to give a little bit of like what benefit of the doubt, I'd say, because like 6 years ago I was working with Jill, who started Toto Kayo, right? And like I was putting together e-com looks, and sometimes you do get those, like, this is how it needs to be styled guides from the actual brand, even if I didn't agree with it. Like, that was in the Excel sheet. Like, you had to follow it to a T. And then other times you're kind of scrambling piecemeal because of deliveries.
Right.
So, sure. Like, it's hard for me to tell if, like, they genuinely love, like, if that's the subculture on the streets in Montreal vibe, if there's, like, some other European vibe that they're going for that I'm not aware of.
City full of fucking bozos.
Also, at the same time, like, whatever they're smoking up there, then the plug down to the Continental.
And it's not hurting the bottom line. I think that's why James and I feel, I mean, not that we wouldn't clown it otherwise, but it's like, listen, it's not hurting sales, clearly. I mean, they're one of the few places that seemingly is crushing it, whether in sale season or not. But it's just, it's such a calling card specifically. Like you could, if you put every on-figure shot on the internet in a lineup, like, Essence immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
So that's something, that's branding, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
No pun intended.
Is that important though to like stand out at whatever cost?
1000%.
Just in how crowded like the whole fucking landscape is.
1000%. Yeah.
You have a favorite place to shop online?
Besides Essence, I'd say, I mean, I love Good Hood. Because of just whenever I go to London, I always just love
the fucking lads, mate.
The pieces they had. But I'm actually not a big online shopper. I know it's COVID. I've never been that way. I think, again, because like money was always such a precious thing to me that I needed to really see and try things on and know that, okay, this is what I'm dropping my money on.
You're like pirouetting in the store to make sure that like I can live in this thing. And
I am a sucker for a good retail experience. So like online is tough, but Essence is something that they carry all the brands that I have that I love, and I know how things fit. So it's just kind of like an easy sometimes I'll get lost in the depths of like a Farfetch app, and I also love matches. I do like have the app as well and endlessly scroll.
I know that there's like a sneaker store in Honolulu. I'm blank on the name, but were there ever any
Kicks?
like, what's that?
Kicks?
Yes. Kicks High, right? Kicks
Yep,
HI.
Kicks Hawaii, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was there ever any maybe like stores that carried like the Our Legacies and the Total, like a Total Kaio, except in Seattle, in Hawaii? Or was it all like vintage? Like, where did you kind of develop this love of more higher end fashion?
Yeah, it was really Aloha Rag, RIP.
Right.
So Aloha, So Aloha Rag, shout out Yoda. Like, in Honolulu where I'm from, we didn't have, everything was always catered to tourists, right? So we always had the Louis, we always had the Pradas, but we didn't really have boutiques. And if they were boutiques, they were streetwear, like Kicks. But Aloha Rag was the one store, and my older sister who mostly raised me, she had friends that worked there. And so that's where we would go. And that's where I would learn about Comme des Garçons and things like that, because they were also the only store that carried that stuff in all of Hawaii.
Word. All right, so we talked about Evan, right? We talked about IDK. We know that like you're just working with like celebrities left and right. Is there a current celebrity who's hot right now that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with?
Bucket list shit.
My agent just asked me that question, and I was having a hard time because I really have to step up my celeb game. I'm so like unfazed by that world, and that's not even trying to sound like cocky or higher than. It's still not my world. So
what about like a TikTok star then?
Absolutely not.
What about
they need the help.
What about an athlete or a movie star, or just there's no one that you are personally such a big fan of that you would love to like, put in a specific type of vibe that
just ugly duckling them
would kill?
Yeah, I mean, as cliche as this sounds, I love Timothée Chalamet. Like, he is kind of like an ideal person to dress, just because I feel like he also comes from that youth culture that is, they're down
completely
for whatever.
Free and whatever. What about a celebrity maybe that is no longer with us or somebody throughout history that you would love to style? Does anyone come to mind?
Oh my gosh, not off the top of my head, no.
George Washington.
Definitely not one of the white presidents that we've had.
Not one of these motherfuckers with wooden teeth, bro.
He needs a new weave.
JFK was chic, though. I have to give him that.
R.I.P.
All right, so celebrity's just not your world.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think that I didn't realize it, but I guess I've just never really been, maybe because of my culture, that it's just, I've been around it so much that it's not as appealing as everyone would think.
Kelly Slater.
He's so fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Surfers or skaters? Who's hotter? Surfers or skaters?
Ooh, that's tough. For me personally, because I'm obviously Hawaiian, surfers, but skaters have a vibe. Like the way that, I think that's why it's such a natural relationship with skaters and fashion, is that they're just like, it's in their attitude. It's in their don't give a fuck attitude.
Hell yeah. Do girls in Hawaii react the same way around surfers that girls in New York react around skaters?
1,000%.
Hide your daughters.
Yeah, growing up, we used to call them pro-hos, which is so disrespectful to women. So that is fucked up. But
which is always your version of a ramp tramp, basically.
Yeah,
which is also extremely disrespectful to women. My bad.
What a patriarchal society we live in.
It could be a man can be a hoe, a man can be a tramp.
That's fair.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we all been there. Fuck celebrities for a second. I want to talk about a true privilege that you had, which was you worked for approximately 2 years. You worked out of Yoji Yamamoto Sama, and I say Sama because he's a god. I don't say San.
He is.
Fucking peons, look it up. Yamamoto Sama. You worked out of his atelier for 2 years. What was it like working with the man simply known as the Master?
I mean, it was surreal. I think it didn't really hit me until after my job was over, but in the moment, it was just normal, but also like I would shake and be nervous every time he walked into the offices because he was there every day.
Wow.
Smoking his cigarette.
Putting that work in
the atelier for fittings. He would get down on the ground. People would rush over. It's very Japanese culture as well. Like it's a hierarchical society within the company. Like, your role, and he didn't even need to speak, things would just, he would like look a certain way and they knew. And it was just such an art to like witness that.
Do you have a particular Yoji story that is like emblematic of either his like expertise or maybe something that was like out of character that you remember like off top?
Well, I have a couple actually, but a charming one I really loved was that his mom was always there.
Fire.
And she, at that time, was at least in her late 80s, early 90s. And because I think he had just turned like 70, like, or 69 when I started working with him.
Nice.
And like, she would cook curry and like cook meals for everyone during the like week that we were all getting ready for the women's runway show.
How was her kitchen game? Was it delicious?
Unbelievable.
Really? No surprises there. If you birth Yoji Yamamoto, I know that you are fucking filthy in the kitchen.
It's like everyone was just quiet. It was like the only time it's just like dead silence. Like everyone was just eating. I thought that was just like a very beautiful, almost like ceremonial type thing. And then another time was I was that one quote unquote American that didn't speak either French or Japanese, and not many people spoke English in the atelier. So I was hated on a lot, especially for the way I dressed.
Really?
Yeah, because like I would wear things at that time that they didn't get yet. So like as you guys know, like if it's the summer in Paris, like it does get humid, it does get hot. So we had a type of uniform to follow, but for instance, like if I was wearing a black Yoji suit, we were allowed to wear black and white. So if I was wearing a black Yoji suit underneath, I just wear a white beater, And like when I would walk in with my necklace, when I'd walk in, they'd kind of look at, especially the Europeans, they'd look at me like, "What are you doing?" And then the Japanese are all like layered and buttoned up, even in 100 degrees. But it was cool because I was specifically getting shit from one dude, and then Yoji had seen my look and had talked to the guy who talked to me about like, why was I wearing a white bandana to hold my hair up, and why was I wearing this white ribbed tank? And, I had explained like, I took inspiration from East LA where I used to live, and being from Hawaii, that's what we wear and how we dress. And he incorporated it into the show, which was really cool. And it had this kind of like
the ultimate cosign
vibe. Yeah, it was cool. And it was like, they, I think, kind of looked down on me as kind of being this a little bit too street sometimes, because I would wear sneakers and I'd wear all these things. But like, it was cool to see that he, being even that age, had the foresight to still recognize what made sense.
I mean, wasn't a part of a key role or key part of your role to kind of work on like Y3? And I think people kind of underestimate or kind of forget that Y3 was one of the first like sneaker luxury collaborations that was streetwear, right? Like it was very like Lawrence and I were accomplished at the time. Like that was like the fucking shit at the time.
Yep. And that was my key role. Like I initially was hired specifically for Y3, but I ended up going to Paris every season because Yoji's team saw that it was important to have that synergy between mainline and Y3, that communication present. So that's why I started to be involved with the mainline, and I started styling the mainline stuff for even Barneys.com, because they wanted somebody in-house that understood the brand to translate that for the American market.
You talked a bunch about like the inspo behind that like kind of controversial look, at least, in Paris at the Atelier. But how would you describe your like personal style, just generally speaking, to the audience at home?
I mean, I think, it's you'd think it'd be such an easy thing for me to describe, right? But it's hard to put into words, I guess. Again, like if
we don't ask this question of everyone. We only put it down for people who do have such like
GN
range.
We asked GN, right? We add who else?
And Luke Frazier.
Yeah, Luke Frazier from round two, and then we're asking you.
Nice. I think, again, if it doesn't feel authentic to myself, I can't put it on. So, and I go by mood. I don't prepare any looks prior to. I'm very much a guy that wakes up and does get dressed based on, I always ask Siri what the weather's like. I'm very much dressed not for just a fit to get a fit off unless it's fashion week, but really like what I'm going to be comfortable in, what brands I'm really fucking with right now, and really my mood. So recently, especially with COVID, I obviously want to be comfortable. I want to be in oversized things.
You don't wear hard clothes?
I'm not in like raw denim every day at home. Right. But I think my style really does come from my culture. I think at the end of the day, I always look back to like how I dressed growing up, and having surf and skate and being from Hawaii and that type of culture, and also being Japanese and my dad being full Japanese, like that naturally is integrated into my style.
I want to ask you about Hawaiian culture because it is such a huge, obviously, part of where you and anyone from Hawaii really comes from, because it's just so it's unique, right? And I think like if you visit there, you can't really get it at all. So as an outsider, like what it seems to me as someone that was like a fan of like surfing when I was younger is Hawaiian male culture. It seems to be pretty macho, right? It's like a lot of, it's very bro. Did you struggle? Well, as a gay guy and also just kind of someone interested in fashion, did you struggle in a time and a place when these things were maybe like less widely accepted or even like less mainstream?
Yeah, mainstream for sure.
Yeah, 1,000%. And you know what's so interesting? Like historically, before missionaries came to Hawaii, like before they were converted, like Hawaiians are super like open. It's such a like there was always a place for mahus, which is basically trans or gender fluid people. They were seen as healers and they were seen as just all knowing in a sense, so it really is such a beautiful culture. But again, with like being colonized and stuff, it really shifted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just
white people ruin everything is what you're saying. Yeah. Well aware.
No, and it's so interesting to see it really have that type of American man shift towards proving your masculinity. So growing up, it was really tough. For sure. Especially on one side, I have my dad's side that is all full Asian. And then on my mom's side, all very much more Pacific Islander, mixed, white, Hawaiian mixtures. And so both sides of the family were pretty much like following those standards, So here I come, this black sheep, like wearing crazy shit and just experimenting. And they're like, what the fuck's going on? So I was hated on and bullied my whole life, And I think that's also why I fell into fashion when I moved to New York, because I finally felt like I found
an
a
escape.
place.
So it's a part of finding a home, like a separate home, but then also an escape to some degree, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And as cheesy as it sounds, like it really was my armor. Like as much as I got bullied for it, I felt good. Like I felt safe when I was dressed a certain type of way. So
is that why you got a black belt in karate? Because you had to fucking.
How do you know that?
I did my research. How do you think I won a Pulitzer?
Professionals, dude.
That's so dope. On the contrary, I actually was a pretty athletic kid, but that did come up because my older cousin, who I idolized growing up, he was taking karate, and I would see him, like, I went to one of his tournaments and I was getting bullied so much in junior high. I was playing baseball at the time. And I told my dad, like, I want to do that. And so I started going, and I even like would live with that family so that I could train with my, and I fell into it hardcore.
Did you?
I loved it.
You ever kick someone's ass?
Yeah, if you're Hawaiian, if you're live in Hawaii for an extended period of time, it is going to be natural, unless you're some like privileged person that gets to like have their beach house. Like, but I think people get Hawaii like twisted. Like Hawaii's cutty, it really is. It's rough, and so like if you grew up there, there's been a multiple instance that you've had to scrap.
You're not necessarily waking up and choosing violence, but at a certain point, violence is going to choose you, and you have no choice.
Exactly. It's just ingrained in the culture. Right. That's why we have such good football players coming from Hawaii.
And speaking of karate, and I know that karate is not kung fu. James made that very clear to me earlier.
I have to explain things to my white colleagues.
When we were doing pre-production. Do you have a favorite stylish kung fu movie of all time, or do you have like because obviously
Ip Man for sure.
Okay.
Ip Man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
The Ip Man series for sure. I don't know why that just came like that, but I love it.
You were on that before I could.
I don't know what celebrity I want to style, but
yeah. As far as my dream job, I don't know, but this fucking movie or show.
What is it? What's funny is like Ip Man, IP Man. It's so tight. You have to watch Netflix. I think all of them are on Netflix now. I think there's now 4, but they're actually really good. And then the Grandmaster would be another one. And of course, House of Flying Daggers. Like in a alternate universe, I always actually dreamt of being in a action film. That was always like I think because I grew up idolizing Keanu Reeves. That's the celebrity that
There it is.
There it is. I grew up idolizing Keanu Reeves also because we're ethnically the same, like background. Like he's part Asian, Hawaiian, Polynesian, white, things like that. And he does have ties to his family being from Hawaii. And growing up, you never really saw Hapas, like I don't know how to explain the word Hapa, but to your listeners, but I guess you would say like half Asian, half other. But just look at Keanu Reeves, like he's the quintessential Hapa. I didn't really have anyone else to identify with in entertainment and media. So when things like The Matrix came out, it's like I always dreamt of being in some like live action.
I mean, you're in LA, Taylor.
Yeah.
You're in the right part of town.
I better get on it. I better get my Johnny Tsunami throwback.
How would you what would you like? How would you like to style Keanu?
I mean, again, he's so fine and effortless to me. Like, I think his best vibe in his current age is like his John Wick looks.
Yeah.
I think I just
suited and booted.
The GQ style cover. Remember that? I think.
Yep.
Was it George Cortino who styled that?
Mm-hmm.
I forget. Yeah. I mean, that was just fucking. That was everyone being like, we stan a goat. You know, like that.
Yep.
That was incredible.
So fine. Like, just so good.
Well, okay, so back to Hawaii real quick. So I think people either like think it's, just a tourist paradise, or they think it's just like surf bro, macho culture, everyone just fighting and shit. But I do, from following you and the projects you're involved with, it does feel like there's a burgeoning creative scene in Hawaii. I mean, can you talk about what that scene is like right now?
Absolutely. I think what's so beautiful is what the internet and social media has allowed is for locals to not feel the need to leave to create their own world and to have it reach a bigger audience. So majority of my crew back home have all stayed. They maybe a handful have left for college and then ended up moving back home, but they're all still there. My crew there is so strong and so prideful of our culture, and lots of photographers, lots of designers. There's a new media, I wouldn't say new, but there is a newer media group where are still doing printed magazines that are beautiful because we have a huge Japanese, Chinese, South Korean influx of tourism. And so they're the ones buying, really buying these magazines as well. But I think there's a hunger for it in the islands because they're also seeing this world through social media and being like, well, I want that, but tangible. So let's create it here.
Sure.
So from when I was growing up to going home now, it's amazing. Like I remember not being able to, because when I go home, I don't dumb down who I am or the way I dress, even if I still get comments made to me at the local grocery store. But like, it's so cool now to go back and just see it a lot more prevalent,
right.
Yeah.
Is Hawaii just the better California?
I mean, I'm so biased. It's Hawaii for me or nothing at all. Like it's just such a beautiful place.
I mean, Lawrence and we hate on LA specifically because the locals are really people that move to LA to become fucking TikTok stars or influencers, whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, guys, especially, it's big hats, the scalloped hem, butt white t-shirts,
ripped skinny jeans, Chelsea boots, leather biker jacket, heading
the amount of bad jeans here is
crazy.
Mind-blowing.
Thank you, Mike Amiri.
It's wild. The amount of tapered, rouged, Balmain knockoff like denim. It's wild. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to stay at this beautiful home in Los Feliz every time I come to LA. But so the east side is very different, like Los Feliz and Atwater. But once you like leave this kind of bubble, it is like truly stereotypical LA.
I mean, yeah. So I think the stereotype is like for absolutely born in truth there. But I think like, what we were wondering is we all know the bastardization of surf style through like, Quicksilver billboards in Times Square, fucking PacSun and
Billabong, and sandals with the beer bottle opener, all the
white,
good shit.
Yeah, the white racist guys in the Aloha shirts. But like, what is actual good surf style like on the islands right now?
I think Evan is a great kind of example of that. Even though now you see him in all this high fashion, but like what made him so cool, like when you see him in his skate videos and stuff like that, he's always been that way, And I think in Hawaii, the guys and the girls are like that. There's kind of this, in a beautiful way, because it's so isolated, they're less jaded in a sense, and they're less influenced, again, unless they see it on social media. But there's just guys that get out from surfing, and the way they tie their towel and just throw on their shirt and throw on their blades or their glasses, even just that vibe, that look is like, they don't realize that they look good and cool, And even the girls, the way that they may fold over their jeans, or the way they just get out of the water and keep their bikini tops on and then wrap something else around their waist and tie their hair up all wet, like that effortless, authenticity, and they're all beautiful on top of that. They're tanned and beautiful and mixed and, multiracial. and it's awesome. And it's just like, it's again, but it's really, for me, I think it comes from like the attitude of it, you know, and for like,
That's where it starts.
Yeah, surf and skate, it comes from that attitude of like being an athlete, because it really is like a sport first and foremost, and coming out and just having that attitude and that confidence ooze out into like, this could be the most ripped up t-shirt, but I'm still going to make it look sick, you know?
So, you know, attitude, having enormous fucking rhino shoulders,
Beautiful shoulders and pecs.
Beautiful, you know, you're a little bit of everything. You're the fucking stew of races and ethnicities. That helps, but you know,
Yep.
let's say you don't have that, right? Like, I think it's a. I'm speaking for 3/4 of the podcast here, because you know, look at me. But
well, don't wear bad jeans. Wear like a nice, clean, you know, vintage Levi. You don't need it all shredded up. You know, if you're gonna buy a Aloha shirt, don't get an All Saints one. No shade. Like, get a vintage one. Right. You know.
Anyway, let's say you're not blessed with these God-given talents. What brands should people keep an eye out for? Like, what are some under the radar brands? Because you've worked with like the big dogs, but what are some maybe like undiscovered gems?
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Just in general, not even from Hawaii.
Just in general that you want to, that you think people should
like New Goons.
Yeah. I'll just think of what I've been living out of my suitcase the past month I packed with me. So like AIE, I'm sure you guys know.
Hell yeah, baby.
That's one of Lawrence's
Arts and education.
Oh,
yeah, the newest shit from Nepenthes, baby, from the EG University.
Yep. AIE for sure. I'm going through my suitcase. I'm sure everybody knows our legacy. I've actually been loving pieces from Second Layer. I know they've been around for a while, but like
the most underrated. James and I have loved Second Layer since we discovered them in the capsule days. I feel like people don't talk about them enough. They are consistently fucking fire.
No, they currently have a leopard cardigan that I want to put in this week's version of the Thursday Dumper, but I didn't.
I was going to put it in. Yeah, I'm going to put it in.
Put it in because my picks are just too expensive.
It's like $900, but it's
like $430, but it's fire.
But it's
so good. Yeah.
Second layer. Okay. We're fans, clearly.
One of my favorite jeans I brought with me, I've been wearing daily, are from Childs in New York.
New York. Yeah.
Yep. What else? These Havenbrook clogs.
Shout out Havenbrook, the Chilbies.
What else that's like more under the radar? It's pretty much it for me off the top of my head.
That was a great fucking murderer's road there. Yeah. I mean, a lot of those are brands that are all sick in their own right and definitely could, they deserve as much love as like, you know, the obvious guys. I'm with you.
Totally.
Support small brands, people.
All right, Taylor, we're going to run you through the gauntlet here. In our last question when talking about Jimmy and Larry ourselves, we want to throw some, you're a stylist, right? Through and through. We want to throw some scenarios at you and we want to hear from you just like rapid fire. What are the looks? Just real quick, like the essential 3 pieces for these situations. Lawrence, you want to go first?
No.
Okay. Job interview, whether on Zoom or in person, obviously you want to dress to impress. What is the Taze Days signature job interview fit?
Okay. I've been really into blazers again. So I'm okay with a blazer as long as you aren't wearing it super fitted. So I'd say a clean blazer, stay away from prints. When in doubt, keep it tonal and simple. A nice black suit, an easy t-shirt, and some loafers or boot, depending on the weather outside. Not some streetwear bulky sneaker.
Perfect.
All right, Taylor. I'm trying to bust a nut. Well, actually, no. Sorry. I'm going to be respectful. I'm trying to enjoy an experience with a lady.
Guys love to say that to me. Damn.
Lady friend, and then maybe a little down the road, bust a nut. First date. What's my first date fit looking like?
Again, for me, it's really about context. Like, I need to know where you're going.
All right, we're going. It's a global warming. It's 60 degrees in New York again. We're going to go to the park. I got a blanket. I got a nice bottle of wine. Nice. I got a tote bag. I got some snacks.
Some poetry.
Yes, I got my guitar. I'm going to play Wonderwall.
A picnic, I'd like to see maybe a nice Needles cardigan moment, or give me a nice Bodhi print up top. Give me something that shows
a standout piece.
Yeah, I think in that picnic vibe, like you're in nature, it's okay to like show a bit of your personality. And then again, like an easy pant or denim, like a nice jean, something that you're not too precious with, to also still show that like I can't get my sneakers dirty on this picnic date. You know, just something real chill.
Okay. Right. And then finally, let's say that first date goes pretty well. You know, I recited my best poetry. My Needles cardigan was fucking popping. Now it's late.
She didn't
night.
run away when I told her I'm a podcast host.
Yeah, I'm a professional podcaster. Now it's late night, and I am going on a last minute bodega run to cop a condom Lucy at 2 a.m. What am I throwing on to hit the bodega?
I love a good bodega look. I mean, again, if it's what I love, a full on like basketball. I'm a like bro, like I love a bro look. So if you're in a basketball short with a tall white sock and a hoodie, like that shit's fun, like hot to me. Like
Okay.
I don't want to see you all dressed up trying to go to the bodega to grab rubbers when you know what we're gonna do next.
Sure.
You know? Like, look,
Easy.
I want to look like you just finished like warm up practice,
Perfect.
you know, or like a scrimmage.
Before the real workout begins, if you know what I'm saying.
1,000%. Yeah, maybe
2 minutes,
yeah.
2 minute drill.
Tip drill.
All right, Taylor. Thank you for indulging us talking about ourselves for a little over an hour. Let's talk about you for a second. You know, you have this really great life where you can you're bouncing around, you're traveling around the world. I think this is you live a life that a lot of guys that listen to this podcast aspire to, which is like, yo, I want to be in New York. I want to be in LA. I want to be in London. I want to be in Japan. I want to be in Hawaii. I want to go home. I want to work from anywhere. I want to work with the big dogs. I want to work with the fucking small brands.
I want to be creative.
But the real question is, again, we don't want to stand between our boys and the bag. So in the name of salary transparency, how much money do you make?
Oh, shit. We're going. I cannot talk about money. I hate that shit. So it makes me
That's
so
why you have an agent.
uncomfortable.
We'll call your agent.
Exactly. No, straight up. I didn't have an agent for years, and I was getting not even just screwed over, but I didn't even know my worth.
You were getting fucked over.
Yeah. Like my dad, we come from humble beginnings. You know, my dad still runs his bento shop for almost, for 40 years now, where he's charging $7 for a bento box. Like,
yo, the
still,
merch
like,
is sick. Can we get some merch?
Thank you.
How do we get merch?
I make all that. I'll get you guys some teas for sure. So, I also wasn't raised having the knowledge of finances and knowing how much things cost and knowing how much I should even charge for my
knowing your
services.
worth.
So,
knowing your worth.
yeah. So like I even sometimes I still lowball myself, and my agent's like, what? You told them how much was your rate? Like I think that, I'm really bad at talking about
that's fine.
I'm definitely not
No.
rich by any means. I'm not rich.
That's fine. How about this? How much money would you like to make? Do you have a number? Everyone typically has a number.
Oh yeah. I mean, I dream big. So like, I want to live comfortably at $500,000 salary,
Okay.
minimum.
I like the sound of that.
I got family to take care of. I want to take care of all my family back home. So that's like minimum.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I better get my book deal out. I better get
you better get off this podcast and start.
I was going to say you better get your live action fucking role
Yep.
sorted out.
Yeah, exactly.
Taylor, obviously you're a man of exquisite taste when it comes to Johns and clothing. I'm assuming that you blow plenty of money on clothing itself, but what else besides clothes do you like to spend your money on?
Interiors, probably interiors, and
like home goods or furniture.
Yeah, like I'm a sucker for making my space feel good. Especially as a freelancer, you do have these lulls of work, so like your home is important, like is an important space for you to feel comfortable in.
Do you have any stores? Do you have any stores you'd recommend? Because I think that's something a lot of our guys are like moving into their first crib or like trying to level up their home space, especially now, right? And that's kind of a big gap in our knowledge is like home good.
Knowing where to begin can also feel so daunting. Even if you live in like a studio apartment, it's still like, a lot of space, and it's expensive as fuck.
It is
places,
expensive.
Do you have any places people should check out?
Or tips?
I love places that also like refurbish things, or especially if like mid-century's your vibe, or just to not spend like. I mean, it still can get really expensive with vintage stuff, but like places like Home Union in New York is really good that my girl runs, and it's also just a great source of inspiration. Because I don't like things to feel sterile and too brand new. It needs to have some character.
Yep.
But I'm a sucker. Like I scroll on First Dibs a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know that? Yeah. On that app, I'm on there a lot. Just even like if I obviously won't spend 5 racks on sconces, but like it's a beautiful way to like aspire to things and kind of figure out, like the future. Perfect.
Right. Or get inspired to buy like the cheaper version somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you need to have a good home because who knows, the future Mr. Okata might be walking through the door, or maybe he or whoever keeps their last name. But that brings us into the third topic of this podcast: meats and cheeks, baby.
Yeah, baby.
All right, so
shit.
again, you're constantly, globetrotting, running job to job. Again, it's a glamorous life, professionally speaking. But when you're constantly grinding and linking and building, like, how do you find time to date? And is that tough? Like,
it's super tough.
That?
Yeah, I didn't realize how many years it's been since I've been in like an exclusive long-term relationship. But when I talked to my friends about it, they really made me realize, like you guys said, when you're traveling a lot, when you're working all the time, and I am truly a family man in the sense of putting like my day ones and my family first, that I don't, and I definitely put myself second. So it's been a long time. And I think it's really the traveling thing that makes it tough. Like, it's easy to meet people, but also I'm not necessarily looking to date people that I meet through work as well.
Right.
I like to keep it pretty separate.
You're not trying to dip the pen in the company ink, as they say.
Yeah. And then sometimes, like, not to sound stereotypical or dramatic, but a lot of the guys I meet aren't typically out yet or like want to be out yet. So like the last guy I was dating, like we had a 4-month fling or whatever. He was a former athlete. Like, he wasn't even out yet, Right. So he's not, like, I can't really fuck with that if I can't share that side of my life with people.
Is it like he's not out because of his previous life as an athlete, or is it like his family? Like,
yeah,
I think all of the above. I think for some people, I mean, time and conditions so different for everyone, but it gets tough for them. And, all my friends are like, but you work in fashion or whatever, like you must be around gay guys all the time or bi guys all the time. And it's like, you'd be surprised. It really depends what segment of our industry you work in. Like, I'm not constantly surrounded by gay dudes all the time.
The
not
streets
at all.
have taken over.
And then also, like, does
1000%.
your type necessarily work in fashion? At least from
no,
exactly.
Yeah. so that's why it's like my friends are like, you're so picky, but it's like, I think again it comes. I keep referencing Hawaii, but just to, I'm an island boy at heart. I want a dude that's chill and isn't, phased with the things that matter so much to our industry. And I like them thick. I like them rough around the edges, Polynesians. Like, I'm naturally drawn to that. I'm obviously open to any background, obviously, but those are my weak spots. I'm not really looking for a privileged dude in fashion.
You like a bad boy.
Hood to good, I call it.
Hood to good. Have you been, what has dating been like during COVID? And have you like been doing virtual Zoom dates? Like, what's that been like?
It's funny because I do have a guy back home that we've never like labeled anything, but again, it's because of distance. So, we both knew that we were getting tested and being safe and creating bubbles. So like when I was home for the summer, I got to like spend time with him and stuff, but it's tricky. Like being in LA, like it'd be great to be able to go on a date, but I can't do that here, especially out of respect for my pod and we get rapid tested on set daily, but like, could you imagine being the one that tests positive and has to shut down production? So, but DMs pop still, but
they're open.
You can't really, they're open, but like, it's just really been chatting. That's it.
Is that like the one perk? Well, not the one, but one of the perks of being on set is that like you're getting free rapid tests every day that you're working, right?
1000%.
Silver lining, baby.
It's really nice to know. I mean, people weren't doing it in the beginning, and that's why I was turning work down because I obviously want to make money, but I was, I also just don't want to affect others. It's not even necessarily about my safety.
You're respectful.
It's like, I can't, like, you don't require us to get tested or you're not figuring out how we can. I'm not going to stand out at a city MD for 3 hours in New York City to get a test. Like, figure it out. If you want this to keep going so you guys can make money, like, figure it out, So being fortunate that we have that here in LA.
All right. Well, speaking of two boys that are a little rougher on the edges, don't really care about materialism, we got Chuck and Chef here. In the next segment, 60 Seconds of Thirst, we're going to turn the mics over to them. They've been sitting patiently waiting for this whole time. They're going to pitch you on anything, ask you something. Maybe they got an idea they want to share. Chuck, you've been with us the whole time. Why don't you go first?
Hey, Taylor. So I've been fortunate enough to work with some great stylists like Lawrence, and I've noticed that a lot of them like some are very particular about how the vibe is on set, like music, snacks, drinks, if people are talking or being chatty or whatever. So I was just wondering, like, what is your ideal set kind of
set vibe?
My ideal set is definitely music, ideally hip hop, because you want to feel hype on set. Unless it's high strung, then play something more R&B. But music for sure. I need good coffee, sparkling water, and I'm a simple guy. That's pretty much it. Some nice craft services would be great, good catering. But other than that, if that vibe, I've been on a set where they required no music at all, and it was miserable.
Like it was required to not play music.
The client wanted a quiet set, so all you heard was shuddering of like, I just did a campaign and it was just like with models.
That's miserable.
I was just standing there like, this is so like, talk about awkward silence, like the worst, miserable. Yeah, I want a good vibe on set. Music always is key.
Follow-up question. What's your writer like specifically?
I actually never get asked that unless I'm on the talent side, which doesn't happen much.
Today you are.
When I did a couple like talent sided stuff, again, Pellegrino. Depending on where we are, location wise, I have like my favorite coffee per city, so I would request that.
What's your favorite coffee in New York?
New York would be Little Canal.
Okay.
And then LA would be Proof or Madu. Yeah.
I'm familiar.
And then, yeah, like for lunch, when they ask me what I want to eat, I usually want Japanese. Like I usually want sushi or something that will fill me up, but I won't get sleep
exactly.
after.
That's what you need. You need something that's like gonna fucking like keep you energized and fill up the tank, but you're not like, let me get a chicken parm.
Or like just like a boring kale salad. Like, no, I want some protein.
That's what always blows me away too, is like doing like anytime seeing what people order, because it's like when you're at lunch, you're not even halfway through for the most part, and it's always funny to see like when people like, whether it's like a model who hasn't worked a bunch or it's like some assistant, but it's like, okay, you sure you want the burger and fries? Okay, do you?
Well, I thought you were going to go to the other way. Like, are you sure you want just a side salad? I feel like that's just performative.
No, well, maybe that, but I would actually always eat less versus eating more if I have.
Yeah, but it's like sushi's probably the perfect thing for like a 10-hour fucking.
That's because Taylor is the perfect boy.
Speaking of perfect boys, thank you, Chuck.
Yeah,
let's move on to Chef, who's sipping on a little light lager. Looks like Chef.
Nice.
You're up, baby.
Hey Taylor, this might be kind of a dumb question because obviously as a stylist you want to bring like your own flavor to the pieces that you're putting together. But I'm just like wondering, how do you kind of like separate the stuff that you would want to wear yourself, from the stuff that you want other people to wear, and how do you like familiarize yourself with the people that you are styling? Like, how do you choose to get to know their vibes so that you're like putting together something that just feels right for them?
I think that's such a great question, actually, because I think that that's what makes a really good styling is knowing context, knowing your history and references, and knowing the right time and right place for everything. So sometimes you go into a job and that's what they specifically hired you for, was to bring you 100%. And then sometimes I'm doing a campaign for a department store where it's like, these are the brands you have to use. This is our aesthetic. And it's really about taking ego out of it as well and knowing when to incorporate your personal style. And then also, again, really just doing your research. Like, I hate when people go into a job and that's like when offensive things happen. That's when like cultural appropriation happens, or when you may not be as, for me in the past, not as proud of my work when I also didn't try to push to incorporate my own flair on things, because then I don't want to put it in my book. So again, it's like knowing who your client is. If you've never worked with them before, research it. If it's a celeb, look at their past shoots, look at their gram, look at their socials. If it's a brand, same thing, research the history of it. And again, just do as much of your homework as possible.
Have you ever been in a situation where maybe something that was a little too blue came up and like, you're like, no headdress. What the fuck? Like, this is, this is a Coachella shoot. And like, did you ever
1000%.
feel... And did you call it out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually have there have been early days stuff where I didn't feel like it was my place to say something, because as you guys know, like a lot of times stylists are treated as like like such unimportance on set.
I was
like
gonna say
health.
dog shit for the
Yeah,
most.
like we really are. Like people think it's such a glamorous job, or
No.
you know, but a lot of times on set, like you would think that we're such a vital part because people would show up naked without us, right? But you know, so I didn't speak up enough. But really, after like I'm naturally a blunt person, so I've definitely said stuff, at least to the producer or the
Right.
you know, somebody I've developed that rapport with, where I'm like, that's not cool. Like even in sometimes I'm a part of casting, and I'm like, that's not cool. Like I won't be a part of this if that's how this is going to go.
Do you
know?
prefer to cast as well or be involved, or is that for you? Maybe it's like, oh, I don't want to be bothered with this.
Some things like when I did that, me and James talked about this, about the Essence editorial I did with Evan before he got signed to this amazing management he's with that's blown up his career in a great way. Like when I did that shoot, what was great about working with Essence was that they allowed me to cast, because I was like, well, if we're going to do this this story I pitched about kids in Hawaii, like I need to be a part of casting, because that's where things like lose its authenticity.
It's the most
and,
crucial
like,
element in that.
Yeah.
That's the context that you're talking about.
Like, all right, we got this model from Russia.
Yeah,
Put him in a
right.
fucking.
Exactly. There's so many brands that shoot in Hawaii and never cast locally, which blows my mind. Like they're simply using us as a backdrop and using our aloha prints and all these things as like in their collections or their references, but or like even surf, but like it's a non-surfer carrying a surf. It just blows my mind.
When you open the dictionary and you look at cultural appropriation, what you just said is the exact example that is there.
Yeah. I mean, again, even take like, you know, working with IDK, like obviously I'm not a black man. I'm not a black person. Like for me to work with a black artist and to have that request of using an African print or kente cloth, like I have to make sure that I'm consulting, you know, the right people, and that I'm being very aware as much as possible to communicate, to not make those mistakes. Right. You know,
It still blows my mind. It's still. I mean, we talked about this on this week's episode with Walter Pierce. Just like the amount of people that just like are like sign off on something being so completely idiotic.
They're oblivious. They don't even pretend. They don't even pretend to
or they
care.
feel pressured to not say anything. Right? It's just like it's still mind blowing. All right. Thank you, Chef. Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks,
Glorious 60 seconds as always. Taylor, before we enter the home stretch here, we want to just, we want to play a little game here. Last John, next John. What we want to know, obviously you get crazy amounts of clothes for free. Don't fucking lie. But we want to know what was the last John?
Say crazy.
What was the last John you copped? Yeah. What was the last John you copped at full retail? And then what's the next John that you got your eye on that you want to pull the trigger on soon?
That's in your sights.
Oh, full retail.
Yep. No, friends and family. No.
No
trade.
No promo code.
I've never been gifted something from Prada. So the last thing I bought was a Prada little leather satchel, full retail, not sale.
Is Prada the brand you own the most of,
Gotta
or
be.
own the most fire accessories of? And where can I get that Prada cowboy hat?
Oh, I guess maybe it is the brand that I guess, because again, like I always grew up like genuinely loving it from when Mucha started Prada Sport in
like
Hawaii.
Lena Rosa.
Like we had our own Prada Sports store, and I used to walk by it and just like
sick,
owning those pieces. Yeah, and again, till this day, we're the only store in America that has a separate men's and women's Prada store in the whole country.
Well,
that's dope.
Yeah, because of us being the shopping capital of the Pan Pacific and of East Asia.
Right.
So, but that was the last thing I copped full retail. The cowboy hat, where did I get the Prada? Let's just say I have amazing Prada shoppers per different locations. I have my guy at the Honolulu store. I have my girl at the New York Soho store. I have my guy at the Vegas store, because you would be surprised what comes to that.
This is your version of hoes in different area codes. Personal shoppers at Prada stores throughout the country.
Kind of know what I want, and they'll shoot me a text, and that's how easy it can be, and it's also dangerous and bad. And then what was the other question?
What's the next joint?
Yeah, the next joint, full price.
Oh, that I have my eye on. To be honest, I think it is because of like the pandemic. I haven't really been as much like desiring stuff. I kind of feel like less of a need for things. Almost like questioning also why do I need something? But I'd have to say probably the Throwing Fits loafer.
Wow, there, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was wondering how long James was going to have to float that across the screen before we could get our second or third cosign
I'm a little
the pod.
upset I didn't even get an email about the boot to pre-order when it dropped. Really?
Sorry.
You know, I wasn't obviously on the list for that.
I think your DMA personal shopper was off that day.
Or was dealing with COVID-19.
or was dying along with his entire family in there.
Oh,
all right, Taylor, I think that, we knew that we had to have you on, before the first year Throwing Fits ended because like you are taste god. Like it was almost like so obvious that it was like, it was right in front of our face. And we couldn't even see it. Right.
I was so honored when you guys asked. I was like, I don't have a following. Like this is
you're about to have one.
You're about to, bitch. You're welcome.
All right, so obviously you have exquisite taste, amazing opinions. What we're gonna do here in Fuck With Not Fuck With.
It's a working title.
It's a working title here. We're gonna throw some categories at you. You tell us what you're fucking with and what you're not fucking with.
Okay.
First up, sneakers. What sneakers are you currently fucking with?
Like your current rotation.
Yeah.
Okay, so current rotation, I'm looking around. I have these New Balance Casablancas that I genuinely,
The 327.
Yeah. I have the white one with the green trim around the New Balance logo. Genuinely, I didn't realize how comfortable they would be. So I've been wearing those on set, and I like the way that it can get all scuffed up and dirty and still look cool. Yeah, I have this one.
Oh, do you have the inverse? Oh,
yeah, the inverse of that. Yeah.
You can buy these right now on my Grailed. Shout out Casablanca.
I love it. I love those. I have a pair of orange, low top Chuck styles by Second Layer that I've been living in.
Oh, nice.
Wait, are they article number? They're
article number. Sorry,
right,
yeah. It was a collab, one of the collab sneakers.
I think they
they collabed with themselves. I love that.
Share, they share ownership or they share resources.
Yeah. That Hoka. I have this thick Hoka sneaker that's fluorescent colors that I love. And then this all white one by Athletics. I'm sure you guys know of that.
Yeah.
That brand is just called Athletics.
Yeah. Saw you playing golf.
I like how. Thank you. I love how clean and almost Prada Sport-esque they are without having any branding on it.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Those are pretty much in my rotations right now.
What do you think of Prada and Adidas? Honestly.
The newer stuff, I was like, okay, at least you're giving me something with the Linnea Rosa tribute with the red stripe.
And something brand new, too, which is interesting.
And you know how much Mucha's mom, besides Red Kugo, Mucha's mom to me. But I wasn't excited, I was kind of bummed. I get the idea of quality leather for a superstar. It's Prada's this classic brand and you're taking the most classic silhouette from Adidas. But I was bummed, to be honest, when that came out.
Because that's the thing that it was so, well, it feels like it could be such a huge moment, right? And it just weirdly has fallen flat since Jump, and it doesn't seem to be picking up in any way. So when we have a Prada enthusiast such as yourself on the pod, I'm like, I need the real.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, how come I don't see you in those? How come, and I'm like, I didn't feel the need to buy those, to be honest. The newer ones, I would like to see how they are on, because I do like a futuristic sneaker, but Prada does such great footwear. Yeah. I'm like, Prada does such great footwear, and
apparently
I don't know why.
Small. That's my only intel. Apparently, you got to size up. I don't know.
Thanks, Lawrence.
No problem.
Yeah,
unusable.
I'll let you know when I try them on.
What if you had to do a Mount Rushmore sneakers, your top 4 unranked of all time?
Yeah,
what are we throwing up there?
Be as specific as you want. Colorway, etc.
Of all time.
All time.
Well, one of the first sneakers that made me a sneakerhead were Reebok Iversons when I was in junior high.
The question,
and I just have to pay tribute to that because that was kind of my entry point as a poorer kid into expensive sneakers,
right?
In my eyes, And then of all in that, damn, that's so tough. I have a hard time editing out footwear in general.
How many pairs of sneakers do you own currently? Would you say, if you had to guesstimate?
I just did a Marie Kondo thing over COVID, and
you and me both, brother.
Before I had purged, just in my apartment alone, I had a little over 200.
Wow, shit, that's a lot, dude. Because you're not even a sneakerhead. You're
I'm not
high fashion lord, not a fucking troglodyte.
Was your furniture made of sneakers?
No, I know. I lucked out with such good built-in closets in my apartment, but I think no, but most of that was also from my consulting days and also working with like the Y3. I actually didn't have a lot of Y3 stuff. Surprisingly, I have a lot of Raf Adidas when they collabed for a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
I probably have every colorway and style from those few seasons.
Every colorway with the Stan Smiths, like all like 85.
Yeah, there's like 100.
Not the Stan Smith, but like some of the stuff that was like unreleased, like when he did platform type of stuff on the runways and things like that. So I still haven't been able to really purge those. I'd say I have about like 40 pairs of the Raf.
When you do purge, do you give it away to homies? Do you sell it? Like what's the combination of that? What's your strategy there?
So a lot of my
going
friends,
through this
unfortunately, aren't my shoe size, which is annoying because I would love to just give it away to my friends. But in my building loves me because my landlord's husband is a size 9 and he gets a lot from me.
You know, size 9.
You can pay for rent in fucking sneakers, dog.
You would think they would give you a discount, right? On rent, but and then I love the Bowery, like dropping things off at Bowery Mission and the AIDS Center in East Village. Anywhere that has like an LGBTQ youth houseless program, I like, you know, from Housing Works to independent ones, I prefer to give. It feels weird to sell things that were gifted to me a lot of the times.
I do not have that problem.
Nice. But also have a problem letting things like in that sense, like as a stylist being like as a stylist, like, should I put this in storage because I might need it?
Oh, sure.
But then when I was Marie Kondoing, I got to a point where I was starting to create like, okay, I'll try and send this to the Real, or I'll try and do this on Grilled. And I got to a point I was so overwhelmed. I was like, just donate all this. Like,
sometimes that's easier. It's not worth the hassle, you know?
Exactly.
And you make $500,000 a year already. So it's like, you're good to go.
You know, in this castle of a house that is not mine.
All right, Taylor, keep thinking about your Mount Rushmore, but in the meantime, let's move on to sneakers you're maybe not fucking with. And this will be interesting because I feel like as someone with such a discerning eye, you're able to kind of parse through what's like overhyped or trendy and just cut the bullshit, cut the noise.
Yeah. If there's anything that you want to call out, we obviously don't want you to lose any future work, but every so often there's like a trend, like, you know, whatever was Feel It Disruptors was pretty bad when that was happening.
So easy to pick on, right? Because that's like when you guys started talking to me about this, that was like one of the first things that came into my head, or like the Play Heart high tops.
Yeah, we're known as the Feel It Disruptor pod.
It's so easy because it's just low hanging fruit because they truly are the worst sneaker ever created.
I can't think of any other ones that really bother me. I'm trying to think.
What do you think about like? Or this is not a sneaker. What do you think of like the craze around the Bottega puddle boots? Are you a fan? Do you have a pair?
I love them. Okay. I think the new Bottega is sick. Okay. It's one of my favorite like collections right now for sure.
Because the footwear, obviously, when Daniel Lee first got hired and they were blowing up, I felt like I saw a lot of the kind of standard, you know, Bottega accessories, like his version. But the footwear now, and obviously, you know, footwear is how you basically grow any fashion brand. Like I see the footwear all the time, at least on social media. I'm not really like out in the streets like that, but he seems, and it's like all these huge exaggerated silhouettes, whether it's like the puddle boots or even just like the leather joints. And I feel like that's something you're into, I guess.
Yeah, I'm into it. And it's cool because like to build a brand like that without having to do a sneaker, you know, like when Balenciaga did, you know, the Triple S or like even the Gucci sneakers, like Bottega's doing it without having to create a sneaker that, you know, that's affiliated with quote unquote streetwear. So I like it a lot.
Lawrence and I are obviously fans of a horse bit. What do you think of the turbo horse bit on the J.W. Anderson slippies?
Oh, I like them.
Wait, is that a horse bit or is that like a Cuban link?
It's a link, but sorry, it's a link.
Oh, and it's like exaggerated, right?
Like gigantic.
Yeah, it's like some slick Rick shit.
I love JW and Loewe, so maybe I'm biased, but I feel like it's not a bad thing. A lot to pull off. So if you can, I respect you because I love that stuff. I love it. The footwear is wild, and if you can pull it off, I love it.
What other what about non-sneaker footwear are you fucking with right now?
Yeah.
Besides the two that we just threw out at you.
A lot of clogs, I think, because of the LA vibe. Like I have these like white suede Our Legacy mules that I get made fun of all the time for wearing.
Are they pointy? Are they kind of like pointy at the toe?
Yeah, they're kind of pointy. Yeah.
Those are very difficult to walk in. I cannot walk in those.
You have a pair of those?
No, I was walking. I was in their store walking around, and I was just I can't even consider buying these. Like I can't
I
fucking
am
walk.
impressed and a little turned on at the fact that you were trying on some pointy-toed mules walking around in a store.
Yeah,
That's nice.
That's Jimmy for you. Just
But
a sexy,
again, it's a
fucking
very
open-minded guy.
It's an LA vibe. Like I don't get to utilize them in New York because they probably are hard to walk in. But here you're just like driving and like getting in and out of cars and trying to look cute at Gelson's in the ice cream aisle. You know.
All right, let's move on to music. You love hip hop on set, R&B. What music are you currently banging though, just personally in your ear holes?
So definitely, as cliche as this sounds, Good News, Megan for sure. Been playing that a lot. The Ty Dolla $ign album.
Better pay for this pussy and invest in black business.
That sounded really good coming from James, to be honest. Someone should not clip that out though.
Right, that's a good one. Do It on the Tip is a great track, but in the lyrics they're actually saying do it on the dick, do it on the dick, do it. And Ty Dolla's album,
child friendly.
I've also been listening to.
Can you do the body yaddy yaddy dance?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Okay, you got to pay for those video privileges.
Yeah. Another unknown fact that I used to dance hip hop for 10 years.
I feel like I just got a flashback that I know that.
Yeah, I've lived like nine lives for sure.
If you've seen Taylor at a party with an open bar.
That's what I'm saying. He's seen me. Lawrence has seen me get down because these fashion parties people aren't dancing.
Yeah, these fashion parties aren't going to entertain themselves. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, and that for sure, like driving like hype up stuff. But also like I've been listening to like random stuff from my library, like Burial's old album. Like I've been pulling up just because sometimes I don't want to hear like what's currently or what's like a reflection of what's going on right now. So I kind of want to be transported back to other times, Well,
let's talk about that. What's going on right now? What's going on right now that you're not fucking with?
I mean, just like the, COVID fatigue, as cliche of a term that is, just like the way shit's going in the world. And that forces you to really reflect on like, where your importance is, in life, I guess you could say. But thankfully I'm not depressed, which is fantastic because any artist falls into that hole. But yeah, things are looking up for sure.
I mean, one thing that I think we're all doing a lot more of in COVID is just consuming more with our fucking eyes, right? Film and TV. Mm-hmm. What are you currently binging on?
Oh, I just finished The Undoing.
What did you think?
I loved that show. I'm a Nicole Kidman kind of guy, so like I'll watch anything she's in. I think she's incredible.
You and me both, sister.
And it's like rich white culture is like the furthest thing from my familiarity. So like I'm actually fascinated by things like that. It's like both aggravating and fascinating.
You're gonna love Gossip Girl. You really got to tap.
What else did I binge recently? Queen's Gambit. I love that show.
Fantastic.
I think talk about Prada. Like that whole costume designer murdered that.
Yeah. There was good fits. Even the guys too, like that, like the classic menswear from.
Did it make you want to play chess?
Absolutely. It made me want to watch people.
Right. Were you a former grandmaster in a previous life? Or you didn't drop that on us?
Definitely not. No, I wish I knew how to play chess.
What about movies? Any movies you're watched recently that you want to wreck?
I mean, this sounds so cliche. I've been so busy. I haven't I put on a movie before bed and I honestly been passing out.
Right.
That's what they're good for now.
Yes. Oh, I can't
the magic of cinema.
Right. I can't wait to watch Minari with Steven Yeun.
Oh, that shit is, yes. Where it's like a Korean family immigrates to like the middle of America.
Yeah. And Steven and I worked together. Yeah. We worked together before. I've had the privilege of dressing him for certain things. And, he's an amazing person and an amazing actor. And there is buzz around him perhaps also becoming the first Asian American male to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor category. So this movie, I'm like, wait, because obviously they have to make it available to rent. So I think that comes out very soon.
People are saying this like rips your heart out fucking throws in a meat grinder and then like makes you love life again.
Yeah. And
Full
I
circle.
feel like that's a perfect analogy for how everyone feels right now. And it's something I'm ready to watch.
You know, the way everyone feels right now is that it's time to offer you some constructive criticism.
Yes.
Taylor, we love you. Like, you're the homie. We cannot wait to hang out once again, whether here, there, Hawaii, wherever. That being said, we want to see you, level up. And we've watched your career fucking grow by leaps and bounds as we've all kind of been in this menswear game forever now. That being said, just want to offer up a few tips, piece of advice.
Please.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I'll go first. You mentioned your dad's restaurant in Hawaii. What is it? Did you shout out one more time?
Oh, Okata Bento. My last name.
Okata Bento. $7 katsu plates, I believe you said.
Yeah.
Can he, if he needs the press, which maybe he does, how about this? He sponsors a meet and greet with Throwing Fits and the Hawaii Throw Gang at your dad's restaurant. We get to eat for free. That's our rider. And you can sponsor the whole trip.
That would be sick.
We can guarantee we'll sell dozens of bento boxes.
I mean, he refuses press, actually. My dad's
Really?
quite a man of low key, talk about a very Japanese master at his craft, does not like press, and has a line out the door every day. But my dad loves some company and loves shit like that. He loves some family vibes of meet and greet type of let him just cook and have you guys put on a show for him.
Did he take some convincing when it came to the merch? Was that like from your, like, did he always sold merch or?
I didn't even tell him about it. Yeah. That's usually how I do things. I mean, he just found out we have an Instagram. Like, he doesn't, he's not on Facebook. He's not.
Well, it's good that he's not on Facebook at this point.
Facebook or Instagram. You know how parents are all on like Facebook and shit? Like, he's not.
Right.
He's not like that at all. He
hasn't been corrupted by the algorithm, thank God.
Not at all. Yeah. So the merch thing, it actually came as like, when you come as a visitor or even in like Hawaiian culture or Japanese culture, you always give a gift. So like that was one of our anniversaries, and Wong's World from Viceland came over to interview my dad. And so I made these tees as like a thank you for like recognizing my dad's hard work. And then I found one of his first business cards, and I basically did a play off of his first logo. Sick. And then people started to ask for it. So I started to do small runs of it. And then, so it's great.
Mark is down for 4.
That's absolutely amazing to hear. I'm sure your dad appreciates it greatly. Next piece of constructive criticism, Taylor, you mentioned that you're surprised that you're on the show because you don't have a following, but we love you anyway. And also, let's be real, you're here because we need you to get Evan Mock on the fucking podcast, dog. So you should do that.
That can happen.
Put in a good word. Listen, we're not saying that like, he has to do it or anything, but just put in a good word for us. And maybe if he has a free 2 hours, I'm sure he can find it easily in his busy schedule.
I mean, that would be perfect for the only podcast that matters, because I am 99% sure he's never done a podcast.
Oh, I love being the first. We love popping cherries.
Cherries
all day. All right, good to go. So we're on the same page there. Easy. It's always a little bit awkward, asking the guest to get the bigger guest.
We're boys though.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can always ask me whatever. And also I'm meeting him. We'll be on the island together in a few weeks. So
tell him you can hold his hand. You can walk him through it.
Tell him how good it was for your personal brand.
I'll drop. Don't worry. I'll drop the hints. Drop the hints here and there. Before
don't worry, Evan. Meats and Cheeks is just sucking and fucking. Like, it's totally fine.
Easy. It's easy.
All right. Sounds like you're going back to the islands in a few weeks. I'm incredibly jealous. And look, Taylor, like, I spent 10 days there like 5 years ago, and I fucking loved it with a local from Kona, from the Big Island.
Nice. My dad's side's all from the Big Island.
Bro, I mean, it was great. It was so low key. There were no tourists. It was great, except for us. So everywhere I went, like, people thought I was a local. Like, look at me, right? And my friend,
you're mixed, right? You're half Asian, right?
Half Japanese. My friend Jackie was like, "Yo, you kind of are giving me Island Boy vibes." My request or constructive criticism is make me an honorary Hawaiian citizen so I can leave this fucking hellscape that is Throwing Fits and just vibe out on whatever island you want to throw me on.
The hellscape is not the continental United States. It's your job, the podcast.
Oh, fuck, I would have to pod from Hawaii. God damn it.
Okay.
We'll figure that out later.
Yeah. What's the Hawaiian version of a hood pass? That's what James is asking.
Yeah. A Mahalo
pass.
Yeah.
A Kama'aina pass.
Yeah. That might be
Kama'aina pass. A Kama'aina pass.
Title.
I mean, there's a whole movement right now, like in Hawaii, trying to make it a kingdom again, separate from America.
It's a seed, right?
You know, but that, I mean, who knows when that'll happen.
You support succession?
You know, I think it's such a, like, that has so many layers to it just because I know so much, obviously, of the history, but also looking at it from a economic standpoint and socioeconomic impact standpoint, like, it would be tight if Hawaii, I mean, before Hawaii was overthrown and colonized, like, it was actually a rich, thriving nation. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, and this is this is all tea. Like, our palace, the Iolani Palace, had electricity before the Buckingham Palace. And they had they created
Queen Elizabeth, suck our dicks.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, y'all weren't the rich ones, white people, okay? Like, Hawaiians were coming through with some electricity in their palace. No, but it was truly a thriving country.
Right.
And it was almost, I guess, in modern day times, it could be politically closest to like a Switzerland. They didn't have, I mean, again, I could be wrong, but like from what I've read and learned over the history was that politically that's where they could have, that's, you know, and you can kind of tell even in modern day with Hawaiian culture, like it's like people are friendly and welcoming, and they had this very, like, they had great relationships already. So it probably could work. But just
look, I'm friendly and welcome. I got great relationships. Ask only a few people that know me. So, you know, just make me a citizen. That's all.
I might have to have you like surf a bit, get a bit more tan, maybe pick a tattoo, you know, like where we do the traditional picking down. Yeah, give you a rock type of.
You got to pass the exam, James.
Tattoo situation.
I'll start working on my paddling.
Yeah.
You would need a Toyota Tacoma lifted as well. And then and then Heineken would have to become your favorite beer of choice.
Oh, never mind.
Deal breaker.
I'm done.
They call it green bottles. Next. They call it green bottles back home. So,
man,
you know,
definitely one of the top worst beers.
You know, once I can give you a mini makeover and make you a local that way, you probably have an easier shot.
Heineken is bottom two, and it is actually two because the worst is Peroni, at least in my opinion. So that might be. Yeah. And then,
I don't know why Hawaiians love Heineken. It's wild. Local people love Heineken.
And then finally, Taylor, we were talking about you Marie Kondoing your whole situation. Some of it going to your landlord's husband, who's a size 9. Some of it maybe ending up on resale platforms. Listen, man, you got a lot of great stuff. You have too much that you could ever wear. Let's focus on trickle down driponomics via all of your brand connects. And why don't you let Jimmy and Larry ride in your beautiful, glorious Flow Team Wake? Mahalo.
I'm down. You have to meet me at my storage unit in down Brooklyn. Yeah.
I'll be there with bells on. James and I are already in Brooklyn. Should be easy, dude. Just let us know.
Just give us the passcode.
Yeah.
We know it's 6969.
We'll clean you out.
We know it's 6969. Just give us the address.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right, Taylor, where can the kids follow you on socials? Let's get those fucking numbers up.
Yeah,
let's get you Evan mock numbers.
You know, just on Instagram at Taylor Okata, Okata, strong Japanese last name. That's pretty much it on the gram.
Twitter?
You know? Twitter, I need to get back on there.
Are you off Twitter or were you on?
I'm on it and I just look at what you guys tweet, you know?
I know you're on it because I tweeted a meme of Captain America spreading a tree trunk and said me spreading cheeks ready to boof some vaccines, and you were like, okay.
No, I said, oh really? I said,
go on.
Oh, really? So I am paying attention on there, but I don't tweet myself. I hold back a lot, I realize. I just
go off.
Like,
you work for yourself.
Whatever.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
They call surfing the sport of kings. Twitter is the social media app of kings. Just go off, king.
That's right.
All right, Taylor, thank you for coming on the only podcast that matters. Chef, if you're still with us. Chef, you're with us? All right, I'm going to need you to slap that motherfucking outro music, baby.
I would never never trip about any old dick. If my heart broke, it's nothing that my jeweler won't fix. Put some ice on my chest just to cool my shit. And I keep me a bird cause I'm a real cold bitch. Hey, I'm a cold bitch, yes, I'm a cold piece. Looking for a Mr. Freeze to get froze like me. Like a lot of cold stones and I ain't talking ice cream. Take my arm to the sun, bet I melt your whole thing. Okay, now can I take your order? I'ma serve them what they want. These bitches thinking they the shit when they really toilet water. They gon' go against me, they gon' go bar for bar. I'ma get them in the end like Simba did Scar. Ay. Oh shit, I think I'm pregnant, but I don't see no belly. These bitches tryna come my way before they even ready. They say I got the skills, they say I got the look. I got so many bars, they putting money on my books. Hey, be mad at them niggas, how you be mad at me? He got you looking stupid, but you wanna argue with me. I got a couple of bitches mad cause I don't fuck with them no more. And since you say you so unbothered, what you speaking on me for? Yeah. Do it on the dick, 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 do it. Top notch bitch on A-list dick, this city girl shit can't